Welcome back or welcome in, friends. My name's Ross, and I pop on here every Tuesday and Thursday to offer these readings for the collective. I like to think of my readings not so much as fortune telling, but as storytelling. So if there is a part of your story that you're looking for guidance or insight into, you're in the right place. I don't presume to know anything. I don't mean for these to be prescriptive. I'm just offering these as an alternative viewpoint. And before I hit go live, the thought, the knowing, the realization came to me about just how malleable our personality is based on our level of consciousness, our level of awareness. And it was just nice to realize that no matter how we act, no matter how we dress or style or don't style our hair, it's all just dressing for something that is eternal. And we all have access to it, regardless of the road that you take to get there. But you found your way here, so you must want to take that road, take that tear road. So if there is an intention or a question or a place in your life where you would like to get some insight into, I invite you to feel into that, whether it be a feeling in your chest, in your gut, or a thought that you keep having. And what we'll do in a moment is I'll invite you to take 3 deep breaths into that sensation and make some kind of humming exhale, letting the sound carry that intention out with the breath. And you can imagine it traveling through your screen, through my screen, across the waves of the internet and into the cards so that we can have an accurate read. And so closing your eyes if that feels safe, finding your feet flat on the floor if that's accessible, tuning into that sensation. And we begin breathing in and out. 2 more times, breathing in and out. And again, last time, breathing in and out. And once you feel that that has moved through you, you can gently open your eyes and come on back. And while we were doing that together, I got this reminder. It came out like that. I got this reminder that came up in a reading I was doing yesterday for a gentleman that I've known in the networking kind of sense, but hadn't really had a chance to peek under the hood, so to speak. And it was a beautiful reading. It was one of my Hero's Journey tarot readings. And if you're interested in that, I'll leave that information down below. But what I wanted to share was this idea that came through in that reading for this gentleman was doing it scared. That's probably a phrase that you've heard. And it wasn't that he was scared of doing anything. It was more of the idea of doing it blank. And in this case, it was doing it with a broken heart, doing it sad, showing up with whatever you have, knowing that just by you showing up and doing it sad, doing it scared, doing it uncertain is the most important thing. because you never know who needs that. And I'm reminded of an incident. Incident, that's a severe word for it. Last night was open mic, and I chose to play the ukulele, and I noodle. It's a hobby. It's not something that I devote as much time to as I would if it were something that were more than a hobby. And I don't know how to best use my voice to sing. I think that's probably the most equitable way of saying that. But I did it anyway, and it wasn't that I was afraid because I've done that before. It was just something that I felt like I needed to do, and so I did it. And so again, we've got three cards, and we'll pull these. We'll see if any more want to come out, and I'll flip these in a second. If it gets too loud, I'll close the window. But it's nice that it's not 100 degrees already. So this is kind of continuing with the idea that we had yesterday, or in the last reading, I should say, as far as two different energies, you and someone else's. And the way that I'm picking up on this right now, before we even flip them, is yourself and this other person. I'll let you decide which is which based on how they're flipped. But the third card here below them, confirmation burp, 646. As I burp, uh, this card below seems to be the convergence point, or where this energy is going, or where you and this person are arriving at. So let's see. Let's see if the cards support that. The World and the Eight of Swords. So we'll start with the Eight of Swords because this is someone who is bound in by their own thinking. And it's kind of like what I was saying at the start. The personality is malleable, the brain is malleable, and that's not even spiritual, that's not self-help stuff. There's this concept called neuroplasticity, which is how the brain grows and can learn new things. So bringing it back to the tarot, just because your thoughts have been ruminative, just because you feel like your thoughts have kept you caged in, doesn't mean that you can't change your thoughts at any moment, at any time. And it feels like, if you're the person who is learning to change your thoughts, you're well supported in that. But it feels like the other person in this energy is already out of that. And I think about how both of these characters are, in a way, surrounded, but the world dancer is surrounded by this wreath, and we can see it as a wreath of their victories, or, this red bow down below, and up above is this idea of the infinity symbol, suggesting, of course, that the world spins madly on no matter what happens, but we get to choose whether or not we want to dance in the madness. And, we could say that this is the madness. This is a person who is still feeling constrained and restricted by the madness of their own perception of reality, the madness of their own musings and ruminations. The medicine here, the advice here, if I were giving advice, would be that you're not as trapped as you think you are. And a great practice that I've been doing, and I don't know if I've shared this on here yet, but I'm glad to be reiterating if I have, noticing your thoughts. And if you're on this side of YouTube, chances are you're already on the awareness journey, which chapeau for you. So there's a couple different ways you can play with this. You can catch the rumination. I'm going to miss the bus today. That's usually one that I go through. Or I got to get to the stop. Got to make sure that I get to the bus on time. If you are aware enough to catch that and say, Where is that thought coming from? Where did that thought begin? And of course, you could extrapolate from that as far as saying, oh, well, the bus comes in 5 minutes and I'm 10 minutes away. So I'm concerned about being late, which, that's an understandable mathematical correlation there. But where did that thought come from? Said another way, who is the I thinking that? Where does that I begin? Where does your attachment to that thought, I'm going to be late, or I'm always going to be stubborn, I'll never be able to be in a relationship, I'll never be able to make money, I'll never make my parents proud, whatever the stories are that we tell ourselves, who is the I holding on to that thought? Who is the I tying their identity to that thought? And then follow that thread for as long as you want. But going from there to that's a thought, and I am bigger than that. I am more than that. Or that's a story, and I am not that story. I am bigger than that story. And then see if you can feel into the muchness and the suchness and the biggerness of whatever it is that you are that is bigger than that story. And I'm just tuning in to my heart to see if there's anything else that wants to be shared about that. Just another way of saying this is you could catch the thought and say, I'm aware of the thought. I am the awareness that is aware of the thought. And that, man, that really, for me anyway, helps me zoom out and detach from that thought. And you are doing that already. If this was the 9 of Swords, for instance, I wouldn't be as optimistic about your outcome as I am with the 8. But you're moving. You're moving in that direction, whether you're the 8 or the world. Let's see where it is you're going. The moon. This came up in the reading the other day as well. The moon is all about the unconscious, the things we do in the dark, the what lies beneath kind of thing. And for this, it really feels like going back to what we were just talking about, the unconscious, where all of these beliefs were stored. The beliefs that the world is something that's caging me in and out to get me, or the belief that the world is something to dance through. And the unconscious mind is so powerful, so fertile, that whatever we put into that will take root and bloom. And if it is a more pessimistic outlook, then you will see things more pessimistically. But if it is more optimistic, then you will see things more optimistically. And I know that sounds simple. And I am fortunate that my particular brain chemistry can allow that kind of thinking, at least at this point in my journey. But I understand and say this with tenderness, and I hope no trace of glibness, that if your mental chemistry is not the kind that's able to see this as simply, for lack of a better word, then I understand how damning this view of the world can feel and be. Which is why it's all the more important to examine what those beliefs are. Examine what it is that you're putting into the unconscious, so that what you get into the conscious is something that supports you. It's like I was saying at the beginning, the idea that the personality is so malleable that, oh, I'm stubborn. Yeah, that's just an identity. Where did that idea get planted in my subconscious? Probably from a parent telling you that, from not wanting to sit still and look pretty, that kind of thing. But over time, and especially during those first 7 years, that mind is very fertile. So it takes in all of that and it latches in. And there's a lot of work that we have to do. There's a lot of weeding we have to do. But you're on the way to that. And whether you're the world dancer or this person, you have the tools to begin weeding. And this person literally has the tools. They've got these swords here, perfect for weeding. Do we want any more cards or do we want to go straight to Hafiz? Let's tune in for a moment here. Yeah, okay. So, whether it's whether you're the world dancer or the Eight of Swords non-dancer, you're looking for a way to rework your unconscious. And so, what does that lead to? What's on the other side of the unconscious uh, rebuilding? What happens when the unconscious is made conscious? What is the outcome? What is the outlook? What is the prognosis? Show us, please. Justice, and the Fool, and the Ace of Pentacles. So we'll kind of leave it like that. And this is something else that came up in that reading the other day, which I will offer here, the idea of the beginner's mind. This is a mind that has seen some stuff, that understands how people work, that maybe understands how relationship dynamics work, and has seen enough and has enough evidence of a lived experience to anticipate how things are going to turn out. And I always say this, I can put as much faith in God as I have, and I do, but I still look both ways before I cross the street. Using that kind of example, you can have as many data points as you can about people, situations, things like that. And I'm not saying to ignore your intuition, the moon here, but I'm also inviting you to keep a beginner's mind. Keep a beginner's mind like the Fool here, ready to leap off at a moment's notice. Childlike, not childish. And yeah, using your discernment. That's what I feel like justice is right here, right now. And with the Ace of Pentacles, there's abundance, there's new beginnings, there's the other side of the other side of the garden here. And all of that stems from, we could even say you're bringing justice to the unconscious, bringing justice to those ideas of unworthiness, of not feeling like you're enough, or undeservingness, all of those things. And it requires this beginner's mindset. Like, what would it be like if I just woke up or in the next breath believed that I was worthy? What would it be like if I believed I was worthy of an aligned relationship? Whoa, what does that feel like? How does this personality act with that belief? How does this human organism respond to life and the situations they're in if they have that beginner's mindset, if they're leaping off the ledge into this new belief. When I say it like that, the way that the Ace of Pentacles here is set up, it's almost as if the hand of God here is held in such a way that it can catch you if you leap like the fool. And this is leaping with intention, not just jumping off of buildings just because you can. This is not being chaotic for the sake of chaos. This is grounded. This is intentional. This is purposeful. This is your life. You don't need to be a chaotic demon about it. Unless you want to be. Like I said, this isn't prescriptive. I'm not your dad. You are at choice. But going back to the Eight of Swords here, you know the choices you've made in the 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years that have gotten you here. Do you really think continuing to make those choices will get you where you want to go? I don't know. Let's see what Hafiz has to say. Do you have anything different for us, Hafiz, or a way to bring this on home, wrap it up for us? Oh, Hafiz, tell us, please, what we need to know. See, that's how I sing. I don't know how to make that voice work with pop tunes, and I also don't know how to make that voice work with an ukulele. Somewhere over the rainbow. Maybe that's relevant for someone. Way up high. All right, Hafiz, what do you got for us? I'll stop singing here. No, I won't. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like rain. Yeah. Release and let go. 21 reduces to threes. I've been seeing threes a lot. Maybe you have as well. There were these three cards that fell out: Justice, Ace of Pentacles, and the Fool. And we also started with three cards. So there's your 333 if you're looking for signs. 21. Release and let go. Climbing a mountain, one can gather many beautiful stones, but to fly, you need to release them. Now is the time to let go. Pull in the oars of ambition and let the river carry you downstream. Release all struggle and agenda, all trying. There is an old maxim that says, "What is for ye will not pass by ye." Have the boldness to believe this, and let the waters of life carry you in its current, buoyant, free. I'm going to save that for my student later today. Confirmation with the car starting right there. And yeah, it really feels like Hafiz brought us back even to that thought that I was having at the beginning, as far as releasing and letting go of your old personality, or what you believed to be your personality, or maybe misbelieved your personality to be. And that feels complete there. So I'll leave it at that and wish you well until I see you again. Like I said, I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday with these. If you want to book a one on one, we can delve deeper and see the story that your soul is here to tell. But until next time, my friends, I love you and wish you nothing but peace, love, and happiness from this day forward. Take care.